Hello there, Victor, Rafael, are you hearing me now? The video probably has no audio, but no audio, okay? But can you hear me? Audio, yes, okay, yes, I'm live. I'm the host, and I was just waiting for other people coming in. That's clear now. Okay, that's fine. That's very good. Probably the video had no audio, so for that reason you weren't hearing anything. So 5:05. So I think it's time to start with this new talk. And before starting, I want to explain to those people new to this format that here we are talking about Anima from Access Design, which is the team behind the development of this crowd simulation software. And the idea of these talks is to share tips and tricks, best practices, and of course answer to doubts and questions from the user communities, and of course to show this fantastic software to those new or possible users. Okay, it will work this way. I will explain you how to use this platform, Webinar Jam. Some of you may be new, so they probably don't know exactly how to use the chat, which is the main part. And I will be your host. I'm Michele Bedendo, and I will be talking today about the area tool. Okay. But before that, keep in mind that there is, or better to say, there are team members from Access Design team in the chat, so you will be able to ask questions and get answers. Okay, so let's start. So I will start by sharing my screen. Okay, so here you have it, and that's it. This is just, of course, an image, but I needed to explain how will work this, this platform. So in the middle you have this is the black avatar, but you will be seeing exactly my screen, okay? And on the right you have the chat. There is where you can enter your messages to other users and to ask questions to the team. Now, at the bottom, you have the text box where you can enter your messages. And as you can see here at the top of the text box on the right is the chat. This is a drop-up menu, okay, where there are two options. You can write a message as a standard chat message, so you can just, discuss with other users, or you can send a message as a question. You can mark messages as questions. And those messages will appear for us in a specific list where we can clearly see each question marked. So keep in mind, if you want to be sure to get your answer, please mark it as a question and you will be answered as soon as possible. Okay, so I think we can start now the talk, and let's go to Anima. So here we are. Okay, the topic of today is area tool. Now, the past week, we talked about the path tool and how to create walkways to have actors walking around, okay? And in that talk, we have a little space for the areas, socializing areas. Well, today, it will be the opposite. We will talk more about the socializing areas and something about the path, because they can be strictly related sometimes. Okay, so let's start. First of all, I want to just point out that I won't be covering how to use the software, how the interface is working. This is not the goal of these talks, okay? But however, you can see that Anima is quite simple compared to other softwares. Of course, it depends on what you have to do. But in this case, the idea about Anima is to be straightforward the most possible. So here what we have is, a new scene, okay? This is a background model I've imported. And as you can see here is, an example of what could be a concert stage. So we have the actual stage where we have three dancers, but here we could have a rock band or something else. Actually, it doesn't matter too much now, but we have these three dancers. And Here we have a couple of entrance, exits, it depends on what you prefer, a space in front of the stage, and then we have these tribunes. Okay, so let's see what we want to do now. Well, these are dancers. This could be a rock band, a girl band, whatever. We want people in front of this stage. Okay, so the idea is, of course, related to the topic of this webinar, which is the area tool that we have here. Okay, now what I want to do now is to select a specific shape for the area tool. We can create a rectangle or square area tool, a circle, or a polygon. Okay, at the moment it's set to polygon. We will see how we can use this today, but we will start with this tool, with this squared one. Okay, so we just need to select where we want to start. Okay, and it's very, very simple. We just click and drag, and by dragging we can define the orientation. Okay, we can snap to the orthogonal snaps axis. Okay, and dragging we can also define the size. Okay, at the moment I don't want to have it too big. Okay, so that's it. The difference between this element, this simulation element, and a path is that you have to click on the icon instead of the square here on the ground. Okay, to be selected. And what I'm going to do is now to use these vertices here to change the shape actually of this area. Okay, so I'm defining the area where the characters will be generated. Okay, so here we are, and here you see we have a grid. Now, the grid is one of the options we can use to distribute characters. First of all, we want to generate the characters here. We have here the list, the crowd list in this case, and I don't want to let this program, in this case Anima, to choose the characters, the actors by itself. I want to specify some of the characters I think would fit more in a concert, okay, situation. So I will just select those I think would better fit, something like this, for example, and just left click and drag inside of this box, where right below crowd. Okay, so here we have this list. And now we can generate, but before generating, I want to know how many characters I want to create. Now the actor count is set to 5. I don't want 5. And here the option right below tells me how many characters I could fill. At the moment, 24 available. Okay, this is an option that let me choose if I want to fill everything in the area, every single cell defined by the grid or not. I will choose to use, for example, 20 instead of 24. Okay, and click generate. Okay, so now just wait a few seconds to generate all the characters, and as you can see, these characters are created. They are quite they're created each character in the center of each cell, so the distribution is quite the grid-like distribution. Okay, but the most important thing, they are not facing the right direction. So we have a couple of different ways of doing this. And the first thing we have to handle in this case is which are the options. So at the moment, first thing we want to have a look at is the focus mode. Focus mode defines actually the way the characters will be facing in a certain direction. At the moment is set to focus because we can set focus points or reference points, which are the points towards which each character will be facing to. Okay, so we can create, for example, here, using this button here at the top, in properties, a focus point right in front of this dancer. And as you can see, all the characters are facing to this point. But we can also create more points here and here. So having all the people looking at all the dancers, not just the one in front of them in the center. Okay, so right click to complete this this part. Okay, and here we have all the focus points. We can move them as we saw in with other elements. And as you can see here, we have all the characters currently facing the stage. But this is not the only thing we can do. First thing, I want to try to create more variations in positions. In this case, this is more a squad group. Okay, so we can work with the option position shuffle. Okay, so this is a percentage of offset, an offset percentage. So this way, okay, we can click generate again each time we change an option we need to generate. Okay, so this way, as you can see, not all the characters are placed in the center of the grid. In this case, the cells of the grid. Okay, so this is another way of changing this. The other thing we could do is to change the rotation of the grid. And here we go to the rotate placement grid. For example, I set it to 45. Okay, as you can see, the grid is changed. We could do something a little less. Okay, let's say, 50 degrees. Okay, and click generate again. So now what we can get is something a bit different. But this is the way, using the focus points, to set the direction towards which the characters are facing. But we could use also the grid itself. And to do this, we need to change the focus mode here on the right to grid. We also can set it to random, but at the moment we don't want the direction to be random. We could use the random option when we want to create a generic area where people facing different directions, and this in that case would be fine. In this case, the most useful options are focus and grid. If I set to grid, as you can see, little arrows appears in each slot. So in that case, those arrows are indicating the direction of the grid, and so are the characters. Okay, so in that case, I should again rotate the grid, and in this case 180 degrees. I know that is because I already tried this. Okay, and that would be a fine solution too. Okay, but sincerely I prefer to use the previous solution because it gives me a better result, a result that I prefer. Okay, so this is quite the way we can use a socializing area. Actually, we have different options. We have an option which is called the Socialized Timer. Now, this option here is not really related actually to those characters generated by the area itself, but is an option related to those characters coming from other elements, in this case, a path. Okay, so let's have a look at this. What we can do is, for example, taking this vertex here and this vertex here and expand this area to here. Okay, and now what I have a part of this area free. Now keep in mind, at the moment, if I try to regenerate this area, all these options, these 20 characters, would be distributed on all the area, the new area, not just here in front. And we have to keep this in mind because, well, we will see in a moment how to solve that, which solutions we could have. So what I want to do now is to create actually a path. Now, what I'm going to do is to take the path tool, okay, and create here. I will start from here, okay. I will be working orthogonally. At the moment, I'm going to create a very simple path, okay? So like this, here, and here, okay? Now, let me just try to fix this, okay, to center more, okay. As you can see here, I have a path. My starting point will be this end here, well, the start, and the end will be there. Now, first of all, I want to set the path to be one way, okay, or another in this case. But one way will be not both, but forward. So I want actors to start from here, going around, socializing. We will see how this works, and then going here. Now, why I have created the path this way, with the end and with the start and the end behind the stage, because probably in my case I would want to have something like this, like camera point of view, could be sort of panorama this way. So what I want to do, I always try to do this, is try to hide where the actors are popping in and popping out. Okay, so in this case, this could be a nice solution. Very simple, straightforward, but it could work. So let's then set how many characters we want on this path. I think I will make this path a bit wider, something like this. Okay, I select the path, and what I want is, instead of reassigning all these characters here, because in this case the selection has been kept here in the library actors on the right, but it could be like this. Okay, so what I can do is just select the area, okay, right-click on top of the actors list and copy this list of actors, selecting the path, and right-click again, and in this case, paste list of actors. This is very useful way to make things faster. Okay, so now I want to set this path to have 10 actors in this case, and I click generate. Okay, so before keeping working on the path, what I want to show you is, when this happens, when this overlap happens, then we can set that some or all the actors generated by the path can enter the area, socializing area, sorry, and then stay there for some time, and then go back to the path where they belong. Okay, so let's see how it works. Now, when I say that I select the area. When I say that the socialized timer is not related to those actors generated by the area, but to those entering the area, I'm talking about, for example, the actors generated on the path. Okay, so let's select the path and see that we have another option called socialization random. Okay, this tells Anima the percentage of actors generated on the path that will socialize here. But actually, this option here controls another options, which is specific of actors. If I select an actor here, okay, we have here this option, socialization, and we have two options, yes or no. So what happens is that selecting the path, now the path is set to generate the 25% of characters with that socialization option set to yes. Okay, so what I want to do now is just to set the socialization random up to 100. So when I click generate, since I have changed an option, okay, this is valid for path, for areas, for avoiding areas, and all the tools in Anima. Okay, so now if I select a character and I see and have a look at this socialization option, is set to yes, each one of them. Okay, so this is important to understand. Now, the point is that I don't want characters to be spread along all the path. Okay, so I will select the path again, and I will use the longitudinal distribution to set it something like 40%. I think it should work. Okay, and generate again. So I will concentrate all the characters here. So what I'm trying to simulate is character entering the stage, or well, the space around the stage, and then trying to enter to see if they are interested here in attend to the concert. Okay, so let's see what happens now. One important thing: save always, Control S, and now we hit spacebar and have a look what happens. Okay. I don't know if this character shouldn't stay. It's exactly suit for a concert, but it could be. Why not? Why not? As you can see, as soon as they enter, they try to find a place where to stay. But as you can see here, we have a problem. Well, I want to show you another thing is that we can change the view mode here to have what? Well, to have actually the simulation element staying during the playback. So you can see here that all the characters are concentrating here, and this can lead to some issues. Okay, we don't have too much space here. So what we could do is, for example, see what in the area tool we have as options about how the new characters socializing, okay, are choosing, which points are choosing in the area to stop. So here we go with the area selected to the social actor placement mode, and it's set to closest. This means that each time a character enters, it goes to the first point, the closest point where it can stop. But we have also another option, the furthest. Okay, so we could play with these. But before this, I want to do a different thing. Okay, I want to talk about this socialized timer. Okay, this time is set to seconds. Okay, these are 15 seconds. Now we have to take into account how this time is meant to be. This is not the time calculated from the start point, the moment where the actor stops in the new position in the area and then start to count 15 seconds. These 15 seconds are from when the character enters the area, goes to the point where it will stop, it will wait, and then the time is taken to go back to the path. Okay, so if we want to have more than 15 seconds inside all of this, we have to set more than 15 seconds. I'm going to show you this, but what I don't like in these situations here is that we could have some of these actors stopping right on top of the path. So we could have, in the situation in which we have the path with not all the characters socializing, that some of them could have some issues to pass through. So I will try to work in a different way. Okay. First thing, I want to reduce this area here. Okay, and I will show you why. Okay, so I will select it, generate again, so I have a different distribution, and that's okay. So I want this area here to be independent. Okay, but I want an area here right behind where the characters coming from this path will be going when socializing. So what I'm going to do is just to duplicate this area here. Okay, I will place it here like this. I will set the actor count for this new area to 1, and click generate in this case. Well, what I want to do is just to have just one character. I want to delete, since I want this area to be empty. Okay, I will take the focus points of this area and place them exactly, well, more or less where they were. Sorry. So this way, I'm sure that all these characters will be facing exactly the same way. But what I'm going to do is now, at the moment, this area is not different as before, because we still have a lot of this area overlapping the path. So if we want to avoid this, well, we could do something in a different way. So with the area selected, I will select this button here and this button here. Let me change adding vertices to this area and changing the shape. So what I'm going to do is just to add a new vertex here. Okay, right click to close that creation mode, and I will do this. Okay, so this way, what I'm going to do is just this. Now it seems strange, perhaps, but what I'm trying to do is just to use this little triangle here, okay, to be the trigger to force, well, to make these characters coming on the path entering this socializing area. But they will just distribute along this area independently of, from this one, which is the one closer to the stage, okay, and not overlapping the path. Okay, so let's try it. Okay, so I will save it and then hit spacebar. So you see the simulation is working. So let's see if it works. Now, what should happen is that, as you can see, it works. Okay, the characters should start placing themselves But the problem is, as you can see, that we still have the problem, some of the problems. They try to use the closest point, so they accumulate too close here, but they try to not to, okay? So as you can see, some of them will leave and some of them will keep going. So first thing I want to do is to change the simulation length. I would set here from 30 seconds to 45, just to be sure. And this is also for another reason, okay? For example, if we know, well, let's do things one at a time. I would select the area. The problem here is that each time an actor enters, will try to place itself as soon as possible close here in this area. So what I will change in this area is the social actor placement mode, and keep in mind this is related to those actors socializing, entering from another, coming from another social simulation element, in this case the path. Okay, so I would set this to furthest. So this way I would select the path, I will click generate to be sure to have it updated. Okay, just saving it and hit spacebar again and have a look at what happens. Now, what I should have created is avoiding that this part is used. As you can see, this is the furthest point or furthest area of this socializing area. Sorry for the repetition. Okay, so they will start here. But as you can see, that woman has not stopped there for 15 seconds. Okay. Well, the problem is that from this point where that actor enters to this point here, it will probably take something like 7-8 seconds. So we have only less seconds, say 6-7 seconds more to stay here. So how we can solve this? Well, what we can do is to increase the socialized timer for this area. So for example, set it to 25. For this reason, it's important to have a specific, an adequate timeline length, simulation length, to being able to see this simulation. Okay, so let's have a look now. And now we should have this character here placing itself there and staying there longer. Let's have a look now. We should have more characters entering and placing before this woman here goes back to the path. Okay, so as you can see, the character is still here. We can still have some problems here, but well, it's a lot better than before. Okay, keep in mind that we have to try to, this is trial and error. Sometimes we have to try several different options, different values, but this is the idea. So this spike here, this triangle here, is very useful. Okay, if we want, for example, to avoid having more characters coming here on the path and having to cross through the area where other characters are placed and so on and so forth. Okay, and remember that this is a solution. This is a sort of, well, it's not exactly a trick, it's more a tip of how we can use socializing areas this way. So what I've done is just to create two different areas, one independent from the other, and only this one on behind the first one is the one related to the path. Okay, so we could also, of course, use another area here. Here, this we can here and doing something like this. Okay, and creating an area just to have people here. Okay, it's perfectly fine. One thing important is always try not to have these elements too close to collisions. Okay, in this case, to vertical walls. So we could do something like this, something like here, like this, and well, I think that this is fine. So I will right-click, paste list of actors, since it's still in the clipboard. So we can just place here, let's say, well, for example, here, what we can do is use the focus mode, set to focus, to create small groups of people. Let's do this. So now what I want to do is to disable the placement, the grid for placement. So the enable placement grid is set to no. So now what I do is to create a couple of focus points, as you can see here. Okay, I will just place them a bit more like that. Okay, and now if I select this, just a second, something like this, select this, and I will, well, set it to 10 actors, for example, and could generate. Okay, so as you can see here, now the actors are created around these points. And these points, we can change their radius, outer and inner radius, by changing the cluster, this option, the cluster inner outer radius. So if we could do something like this, creating smaller groups. So we could generate again, okay? And so we have a different way of arranging, distributing people. So we can use focus points to control where people are placed, where the people are looking towards, and so on and so forth. And the grid also is very, very useful. Okay, so this is actually, well, starting to get more interesting. Okay, but now I want to show you a different way of using the area tool. Actually, a lot different from my point of view. And this is something I really like to show because I think that it's very important to not stay only with what a tool is supposed to do. I mean, the area tool is just, okay, we have a ground, a floor, we create this area, we generate people, and, well, we hit play, and that's it. Well, that's a way of using it. But we could use it, for example, in a situation like a trivia. Now, one thing I want to stress out is that this works, this method I'm going to show you works when we have a regular distribution, okay? So for example, since I've created this model, I know that these two seats are, the distance between these two seats is 55 centimeters. And the distance between these two rows and the others is 1 meter. Okay, if we have a different situation with something more irregular or different regular situations, we could use or more areas, okay, as I'm going to show you, or, I'm sorry, in that case, the best thing is to use the table tool, as we saw in previous talks. Okay, so let's start and have a look how we simply can create this populate this with the area tool. So I will select now, not this in the traffic light, the area tool, and I will start working with the polygonal shape. Okay, so I will start from here, something like this. Okay, just going around, very simple. Okay, it's not needed to. Okay, so right click to close it, and as you can see, this is correctly projected on top of this this model. Now we need to take into account these things. We will be using the grid to placing characters, okay? So now the grid cells have 1 meter by 1 meter size. They are squares, okay? And how we know this? Well, we go to the properties and we go to the square properties and we go to the cell size and the cell size ratio, okay? As you can see, they both have placement grid inside their names, because they're meant to be used for the placement of the characters, okay? So now the cell size is 1 meter, okay? And since the cell size ratio is 1, it means that both sides are exactly the same length. So 1 by 1 meter squared. But what if I want to do something rectangular? We can do this, okay? We know that 1 meter is exactly the distance between the different rows. So one dimension is correct, okay? But the other dimension, the horizontal one, is not. So I will change, in this case, this value to 0.55. Now, since this is 1 meter, 0.55 of 1 meter is exactly 55 centimeters, okay? So this is the idea. So now what I'm going to do is, once I've set the cell size, the proportions, the dimensions, okay, The second step is to place the grid correctly. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, as you can see, the vertical lines, placing them, aligning them between the seats. Okay, that's fine. And now we should be able, of course, to populate this this area. Okay, so let's use exactly the same list, paste the list of actors, right-click on the crowd list here. Okay, and now, as you can see here, we could generate 115 actors. Now, according to your computer and the performance your computer can guarantee, you can try to fill everything. But in my case, I will try with 35. Okay, I can always go back, coming back, and then set it to the full number. Okay, so click generate, and that's it. But as you can see here, there are some issues. Some of the characters are standing, some others are, well, something like crouched, something like this. So what we want is to have them facing the right direction. So the stage, okay? So this direction here, towards here. So to do this, now we want to use the focus points. We will be using the grid, okay? So we know how to do this. We need to set the focus mode to grid. So now, as you can see, the arrows here are pointing backwards, in relation to the stage. So it's very simple. We go to the rotate placement grid. We go there 180 degrees, and there we have them. But here we have the second issue. We want them sitting. So how we can do this? Very simple. We have selected the area. We go to the library motion clips, and here we collapse the all category, and we have all the other categories. Now we can assign a different category of motion clips to the square, in this case the area. Okay, so I will just left click and drag the chair category on top of this option. So now all the people will be sitting, but they are not sitting exactly in the right position. So first of all, I want to point out where they are sitting. As you can see, they are sitting on the horizontal lines corresponding here of the horizontal line. So what I'm going to do is to take the area, okay, and just doing, let's say something like this. This should be fine. Okay, and as you can see here, these now are well placed. But there are no characters here. And we have characters sit there, and they should not. So what we are going to do is very simple. We just take these vertices, we're just changing the shape. Same thing goes here. Select this, and we extend here. Not too much. Okay, there. And now we click generate again. So as you can see here, we still have some of these people sitting there. So I will try to do the same thing again. Sorry. Okay, this is the, okay, so like this. Okay, and now it should work. You see? We still have some of them sit where they should not. Well, this is very simple to be solved, because we try to have more space here. Let's see if it works better. I want someone, oh, there it is. Okay, so those characters that are not sit where they should, well, we can do two things. We can still refine the shape of the area, or simply I select this character and delete it, and select this character and delete it. Okay, so this is very, very simple. Okay, so what we can do is to take these two vertices and then just place them like that. We'll select this character, I will delete it again. Okay, let's try to generate again just to be sure that everything is fine. That's okay. Okay, that's very, very nice. So as you can see, it's very simple. But I have still to complete this. I have this other part. So how can I do the same without having to do all these steps? Well, it's very simple. We will have to do some of these steps, but not all of them. So we just shift click and duplicate this area here. Okay, so like this. And what we need to do is just to change the shape. Well, actually, you know what? We first have to align correctly, or correctly align, okay, the grid with the seat. But now, yes, we can change the shape. So like this, okay, and there, same thing. And we don't have to do anything else, okay? This should be fine. The only thing we need to do is to click generate, and there we have them placed, okay? So remember that this is the idea of Anima, trying to do things fast, but at the same time efficiently. Okay, so what I can do here is just to click generate again, just to have a different situation again. Okay, now I like this. Now, it's true that we are using the cinch chair category. Now, if we go to the all category in the motion clip library, here we have two motion clips, very interesting here. Here we have the sitting female cheering, okay? So it's a specific motion clip for women, and we have the same thing for male, okay? So here we have the same thing, sitting male cheering. So what we could do is to create a new category, maybe we could call it Tribune, and assign those two motion clips to that category, and then assign that category to, for example, this area we have created. But the work with motion clips, categories, and it is not the topic of this talk. It will be for others, well, the future ones. Okay, so this talk, it's almost, well, let's say it's finished. Okay, we covered almost everything. We covered everything. As you can see here, as soon as I'm trying to rendering in real time all these characters, Anima is starting to create these blocks. This is to optimize the view. Okay, this of course depends on your computer performances. It is not Anima. Okay, so this is important. So what I want to point out is that we can use the area tool as always on the ground to create groups. We can make it interact with a path, for example, and other simulation elements, but we can use the area tool also for something like a tribune for sitting people, which is something we probably wouldn't think of since the beginning. Okay, so we stop here. I hope you have enjoyed this talk today too, and we will see you in the next talk we will have. One thing, the next topic will be exactly the motion clips. So how to edit pose and to change things and to create more variations. Okay. So just wait a second. The other team members are telling. Yes. Something more I want to tell you is don't go away straight away. Okay. Since what we want is to ask you to answer some polls we are creating just to know better how our users or potential users want from or would like from Anima, from the Axis Design team. Okay, so I asking you to be patient 5 minutes, and these polls will be in the chat, right in the chat. So please help us to better this, to make better this fantastic software. We are working on it. See you. Hello again, and thank you very much for everyone being here today with us, and thank you very much for your feedback with the polls. For today is here we stop, but we are going to see you in the near future. See you soon. Bye.